Hi everyone, welcome to another doll customizing video with me, Akin. Before we start, of course, shout out to my coffee members. Roger, Sinbilops, Heather McCormick, Ruby Rouge, Warren G, Start Planting, Mel, Awkward Burb, Invisible Bear, Mel Again, Hanu Made This, Star, Jasmine, Megacin, Steffi MC, and other artistry. Thank you so much for your support. And also special thanks to Zach, Alex, Brandon, Heather, Roger, and Alana for adopting my dolls and giving them better homes. I really appreciate what you've done for me, and some of them have arrived safely to their new homes, which relieved me and made me very glad. In case you haven't heard, yes, I'm selling some of my dolls. This year is gonna be a lot for me and I need to be safe financially. That's why I'm doing this. If you're interested, please go to my Instagram at hisnameisakin and check out the dolls for sale highlight to see the dolls that are still available and DM me if you would like to make a purchase. Alright, enough with the self-plug. For this project, I'm gonna make a superhero character, but I didn't want to do this alone, so I invited some friends to do this with me. I will reveal them at the end of this video like usual. The challenge is we have to make alternate outfits so we can see our dolls as civilians as well. For my doll, I'm inspired by Alfred Pennyworth from Batman. While he's gonna be a superhero himself, as a civilian, he's a butler to a more prominent superhero. What can I say, I always have a soft spot for side characters. Look-wise, I take Ned Flanders from The Simpsons and Mortimer Gott from The Sims 1 in particular as references. That being said, he's gonna be an older man, a beekeeping age man, so mid-40s to early 50s. If you ever wondered, this is my thought process in designing a character. Alright, let's begin the customization. For the base, we'll be doing the usual Monster High head and Ever After High body hybrid. I'll be using Alistair's body and Gil Weber's head. Let's remove both of their heads by putting them in hot water for about 30 seconds to soften the vinyl before yanking them off their bodies. I put Gil's head in hot water again to hopefully loosen up the glue. Yet I still have to use some pliers to remove that plastic hair scale cap thingy. Okay, that wasn't so hard. Let's remove the factory paint with pure acetone. Scrub the head with some wet wipes and put it aside for now. Here I'm roughening up the body with sandpaper. This will make the surface of the body become more receptive, be it to paint or epoxy or dirt. I go over it again with sanding sponge to even out the surface. Then I wipe off the sanding dust. As much as I love Ever After High boy doll bodies, I find their lower legs to be short even though I measure them and the proportion seems to be correct. I'm still gonna lengthen them anyway, so let's cut them off. Then I fill all the cavities with epoxy. After the epoxy has cured, I drill holes in all the centers of the bases. I superglue acrylic rods as connectors. I leave 1 cm gaps in between the parts so the lower legs will be 1 cm longer than before. Then I fill the gaps with more epoxy. Looks like I added too much, so I have to sand down the additions to make them even. The seams are still visible, so with thin snakes of epoxy I cover them up. We're done lengthening the lower legs, so now we can focus on the body modification. I'm not gonna do anything drastic, the silhouette is still pretty much gonna be the same. I'm just gonna enhance the muscle details more, so let's mark the placements. I start with the pectorals. then the obliques, then the abs. I try not to make them too defined, then the lower abdomen muscles, we're done with the front side. Here's what it looks like. For the back side, I'm just gonna make the butt bigger. Okay, we're done with the torso. Let's move on to the arms, starting with the deltoids. Then the biceps, then the triceps. We're done sculpting. I told you it's nothing too crazy, he's still lean. Anyway, let's get to sanding, starting with rough grit sandpaper to even out bumps and the transitions between plastic and epoxy. I sand the deltoids more aggressively to accommodate the layers of paint later so they won't get scraped off when we move the shoulder joints. I sand the lower legs again because I want the additions to be seamless. You won't be able to tell we made them longer. Then I use fine sanding sponge to make everything nice and smooth before rinsing the body and let it dry. I already mixed some paint as close to the original skin tone as possible, and I'm still gonna paint everything, so let's do that. Only apply the next layer of paint after the previous layer has completely dried. Also, don't forget to bend the joints so every surface gets covered. Six layers did the job. That's a normal amount, but I still have to paint the forearms, lower legs, and feet separately because I used them to hold the body up while I was painting the other parts before. After I applied the last layer of paint, I let it sit overnight before giving the body 2 coats of this matte top coat spray to seal the paint. Then I paint the nipples. Then I blush the body with soft pastels. After that, I spray the body once with the matte top coat to seal the body blushing. With a thin brush and diluted black acrylic paint, I paint on the body hairs. It's been a while since I gave my dolls tattoos, so let's give him one. Here I'm sketching a triquetra symbol on his left shoulder because it looks cool, and yes, the matte top coat provided enough tooth for me to draw on the surface. Once I'm happy with the sketch, I proceed to do the real thing with black acrylic paint. Then I give the body 2 more coats of the matte spray to seal everything, and we're done with the body. Moving on to the head, first I'm gonna plant some armature wire for the human ears. Here's what it looks like, and now we can attach the head to the body. The head feels very tight around the neck. Personally, I don't mind it, but if you do, I think you can try widening the neck hole to make the head swivel more easily. Let's sculpt the human ear, starting with the basic shape. When you work with epoxy, you will most likely smoothen it with your wet fingers. That will create residue, which I can only describe as epoxy droplet that trickles down. Wipe it off immediately. You don't want to let it dry, especially on the finished body, because it will leave crusty stains. After the first pass harden, we can add more details. It took me 3 passes to finish sculpting the human ears, and now we can sand them to make them nice and smooth. We got Dumbo right here. I would like to apologize to people with big ears out there. I didn't mean for y'all to hear that. Anyway, I properly covered the body and wiped the head clean. And now we can color match the head. Gil's head is pretty light in color, so painting it a natural skin tone isn't difficult. It took about 6 or 7 layers of paint, I forgot, and now we can give the head 3 initial layers of Mr. Super Clear UV Cut Matte, waiting 30 minutes in between sprays to seal the paint and prep the surface so we can do the face up. Let's start with some initial blushing with soft pastels, per usual. I blush the eye areas darker because I want them to look kinda sunken. He's a mature man, I need him to look that way. With a white watercolor pencil, I start filling in the eyes. The eye molds are very defined, so I just follow them. I applied another layer of MSC and blushed the nose. I really like the shape of the nose, and it has those indentation details. I think they're supposed to be gills, but I think I can pass them as wrinkles. They're actually the big reason why I decided to use Gil's head for this project. Then I colored the lips. I also blush more on some parts like the forehead, temples, under the eyes, and also make the smile lines. I'm trying to make him actually look older. Map the eyebrows. I fill the eyes again with white to build up the foundation. I'm giving him blue eyes, and I use the lightest color first to place the irises. Another spray of MSC, and we can start building up the colors of the eyes, like brightening and shading the scleras and the irises, as well as placing the pupils. Then I define the eye lines and the eyelids using a darker color pencil. I also draw on more wrinkled details like the crow's feet and the eye bags. Another spray of MSC, and we can start building up the color's opacity, adding depth and dimensions. I draw on the water lines and darken the eye lines to really define them. Then I draw on the eyebrow hairs. Another spray of MSC, and I make the pupils black. From now on, it's just a matter of building up the colors until they're opaque. While I still can do the face-ups this way with watercolor pencils only, it has felt different. My pencils glide on the surface instead of catching on it, if that makes any sense. I haven't had that paper-like texture that MSC is supposed to provide in a while. I remember when I could finish the face-ups with just 5 layers of MSC, those days are long gone. I'm gonna talk more about this later in this video. Let's dot on the eye shines. Spray a generous amount of MSC to seal the new face. We finished the face up with 9 layers of MSC. Why is he kinda giving arcane? And why does he look Asian? Next, I'm gonna give him a mustache by carefully gluing some loose black yarn wefts on the philtrum. Wait until the glue dried before trimming it. It looks crazy like this. The mustache still looks sparse, so I'm gonna glue another row of the loose wefts to make it fuller. Akin, are you making Omni-Man? Shut the fuck up! You know, I wasn't so sure about the face until I did the mustache. It made me go, yup, we're going in the right direction. And I don't want him to be downright attractive. I want you to have to take a second glance at him before you go, wait a minute, hear me out. That's what I'm going for. I want him to have salt and pepper hair, so here I'm brushing out black, gray, and white acrylic yarn together to see if we can get that color. I've never really made multicolored wefts before. The colors don't seem to blend all that well, but whatever, still looks good enough for me. I mark where the hair part will be before gluing the wefts starting from the bottom of the back and work my way up. I trim them as I go because we're doing a short hairstyle. I don't bother filling up the head's indentation because the hair itself is gonna do that, so I'm just gluing the wefts to cover the entire scalp. After that, I tame the hair with a wet brush. I glue loose wefts along the hairline to make it look better and more natural using the same technique we did the mustache. If some fibers got stuck on the wrong place, just rub a wet Q-tip on them and sweep them away. I use Elmer's glue all to glue the loose wefts, and it's not waterproof, so it's easy to clean the hairline this way. Here I'm trimming the shorter side of the hair, and I keep the length of the longer side because I wanna try to texturize that part. I want the longer side to be wavy, so with a heated metal chopstick, I curl it. At the beginning, it kinda looks like something. But the more I do to it, the more it looks like nothing. It's not exactly bad, but it's not what I have in mind, so I scrap the idea and trim the hair to the right length. Then I re-straighten the hair. Then I apply watered down glue to style the hair and let it dry. Despite the wasted effort earlier, the hair still fucks. I really like how it turned out. I noticed that the face has become shimmery. Let's compare him with Xeon. Xeon is one of the dolls where MSC work ideally. I don't know if the camera picks it up, but can you see the texture difference between the two faces? Please tell me I'm not crazy. Don't believe me? Take a look at this. The picture on the left is when I just finished the mustache, so only one day since the last layer of MSC was applied. The picture on the right is when I just finished the hair, so it's about 4 days after the last layer of MSC was applied. You see that light bounces a lot more intense in some areas? I know I'm not crazy. But Akin, it's not that bad. It is for me. So what now? What are we gonna do about this? Is this the new normal that I have to get used to? It's not like it's glossy or sticky, it has that satin finish to it and I don't like that. I really don't. It's a matte spray, so I expected matte, not satin. At this point, it has become a recurring problem. Since like Sylvia, this problem persists. And I've had a few people complaining about pretty much the same thing. I just feel like I'm the most vocal about this. So if anyone can speak Japanese, could you please try contacting Mr. Hobby regarding this? I can only speculate that they changed the formula for Mr. Super Clear Matte because back then MSC felt a lot more reliable. I knew I had a bad feeling when they changed how the can looked. Moving on to the clothes, for the superhero outfit, I'm gonna make a sleek catsuit out of this cool looking stretchy platter fabric I bought. Emphasis on looking. Just because it looks cool doesn't mean it's good. When I stretch it to its maximum, it peels off. I knew the fabric is like this and I still proceeded. Bad decision. Huge mistake. I'm almost done with the top half of the catsuit and the fabric is falling apart. God damn it! I think I got scammed buying this fabric. Weirdly enough, I can sew this fabric with my machine, not that it matters now. So let's use a different fabric that I've used before so I know what I'm dealing with. It's this wet look stretchy platter fabric. I used it for Bowser and Juliet before. The downside is that I have to sew by hand because my machine hates this fabric. Anyway, I already marked all the pattern pieces here and to make it skin tight, it's not that hard. Use stretchy fabric and leave out all the seam allowances for the seams that hug the body parts. I cut out all the pattern pieces and I begin by hemming the bottoms of the sleeves and legs. When I hand sew, I always use back stitch because not only it's one of the strongest stitches, it also retains the stretchiness. Here's what they look like. For hemming and top stitching, I use single thread, but for joining the pieces, I use double thread. Let's put this aside for now. Next, I'm gonna complete the back piece by sewing these pieces together down the middle. I had to split it into two because there's parts to accommodate the butt that made it impossible to make it as a one piece. Then I do a top stitch. Now we can sew the sleeves to the back piece. I'm making it raglan because it's easier. Let's attach the zipper to the front pieces. I mark where the zipper should stop. We're going to close off the zipper later, but using a separating one makes things a lot more manageable during the sewing. Initially, I wanted silver to be the accent color, but I could only find zipper with gold teeth, so we're gonna have to go with gold as the accent color. One of the big reasons why I don't do concepts, so I won't have expectations. Let's try zipping it up. Perfect, now we can sew the front pieces to the rest of the bodies. I already made the collar piece, so let's sew it to the neckline. Zip up the zipper and sew up the front crotch, closing the zipper in the process. Here's what it looks like. Then we top stitch around the neckline, along the zipper, and down the front crotch to make everything lay down flat. See how nice everything looks? Now we can trim and seal the excess zipper. Turn it wrong side out and sew the side seams together. Turn it right side out and we can finally attach the leg pieces. Turn it wrong side out again so we can sew the inner legs together. Turn it right side out again and we're done with the catsuit. Hand sewing, what a concept. Here's what it looks like on the doll. Looks great and I'm proud of it. Akin, is that Cat Noir? Who is that? I don't know who that is. If anything, I stole this from Black Widow. For the civilian outfit, he's a butler, so I made him a suit. You've seen me made suits, so I'm not gonna explain much about it. You can watch Emil the Corpse Groom or Kogoro Mori videos for that. I had to make the suit twice because the first attempt just doesn't look or fit right. I'm so glad I decided to redo the suit because the second attempt looks a lot better. What did I do wrong? Again, I use fabrics I don't exactly know how to handle because they look better. Lesson learned, y'all. From now on, I will only use fabrics I'm familiar with. I wasted like 5 days trying to make both the catsuit and the suit the first time. I made the shirt different than usual. It has a front opening, so just like a real shirt with actual buttons and buttonholes. To make the buttonholes, obviously you can do real buttonholes because it's too small. So what I did was to sew a very narrow rectangle 3 or 4 times over to really secure the stitches so when you cut it open, nothing comes undone. And of course, I used my sewing machine. I did enough hand sewing for this project. To button up the shirt, here's the trick. Pass some thread through the buttonhole from the outside. Loop the thread around the button like this. Pass the thread back to the buttonhole from the inside. This is what it's supposed to look like. Now pull the ends of the thread until the button passes through the buttonhole. Then pull the thread out of the way and the button is in. Here's what the shirt looks like on the doll. Looks pretty good, right? I also gave the jacket more details. I added darts and the pocket flaps. The pockets are fake, by the way. I'm not crazy enough to make them real. The closure is a single pair of snaps. The 2 buttons in the front are purely decorative. Moving on to the accessories, here I'm making a bow tie following this tutorial. Look at me gluing fabric. What have I become? For the strap, I install something elastic. To make the doll wear it, I just tie it in the back. Other than the bow tie, I also made him a pair of socks out of stockings. For the superhero part, of course we're gonna make a mask. It needs structure, so I use this piece of cereal box as the base and I'm gonna apply some heat activated adhesive film to one side. Then I trim the excess borders. I got the pattern for the mask here, so I trace and cut it out. After that, I iron it to the wrong side of the fabric to fuse them together. Trim the excess fabric and give seam allowance all around the mask. Then I fold over the seam allowance to the back side and glue it down. By doing this, all the edges will look finished. And here's what the mask looks like. The backside looks kinda ugly, but who cares? I also added snaps for the closure. Looks pretty damn awesome on the doll if you ask me. Next, I wanna make some wrist gauntlets out of craft foam, and here I'm scoring lines on them to make them look like ridges. I open up the scorings more using flames. Then I glue the sides together to form a ring. I'm giving him a 2-piece expandable bow staff as a weapon. Here I got a long piece of acrylic rod and I'm gonna sand it to prep the surface. I cut it in half as equal as possible. To make the staff expandable, it needs a connector, and I found this magnetic bracelet clasp which circumference matches exactly the acrylic rod. Am I resourceful or what? Anyway, let's attach it using super glue. For the ends, I'm just super gluing metal stoppers. Here's all the accessories that we have to paint. Let's do the staff first. I got these spare hands which I will paint black so they can be the gloved hands for the superhero outfit. I got this utility belt from a Batman doll that I no longer have. Perfect accessory for this doll. Here I'm priming the wrist gauntlets and the thigh belt with the paint. This pair of shoes is for the civilian outfit. These are actually can shoes. Some of them fit ever after High Boy. I know it's kinda pointless painting these black shoes black, but it's for uniformity. And these boots are for the superhero outfit. These were those Gorgons, I think. I gave everything 3 coats of black paint and now I'm gonna have to paint the gauntlets, the thigh belt, and some details on the other accessories gold. To seal the paint, I'm gonna apply 3 coats of watered down gloss varnish to everything. Here's what the finished accessories look like. Unfortunately, the utility belt is too big, so I have to trim it. I fasten it with, you guessed it, snaps, and with that we can call it a doll. It took me 5 days to finish him, and that only made sense to me after I laid down everything like this. Like, I made a lot of shit for this project, no wonder it took that long. Those who joined me in this collaboration are Dollasaurus, Falkitis World, and Doll Afterlife. I really want to thank these 3 amazing and talented doll artists for indulging me, and please watch their videos so you can see how their creations were made. I named him Frederick, that's his government name. Despite the satin finish, I still really like the face up. The mustache really adds a lot to the character. The hair is gray too, kinda wish I added a lot more gray in the front though. But you still can tell that he's supposed to be a mature man, right? I'm really glad I decided to redo the whole suit because this one fits just right and it's probably one of the best things I've ever sewn. I mentioned that he's a butler to a more prominent superhero. That said prominent superhero is actually part of this collab. Can you guess which one? But does he actually look like a butler or he just looks like a man in suit? I don't know how to butlerify a suit. His superhero alter ego's name is Umbra. The mask looks really cool. I love it. The fact that I also had to redo the catsuit is insane. This project really tested my sewing, but hey, I still came up on top. The catsuit turned out great and I'm really proud of it. I think his superpower is the ability to teleport from shadow to shadow to kinda mirror who he is outside the superhero suit. Please feel free to expand his lore. I really love and appreciate it when y'all come up with stories based on the characters I've made. Anyway, here's some thirst traps. So what do you think of him? Are we feeling Trisha about him? Do you like him? Do you not like him? Please let me know in the comments down below. As I said at the beginning of this video that this year is gonna be a lot for me, so I'm afraid I won't be as active as the last 2 years. I would like to apologize in advance for that. So yeah, this is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, comment, share, and subscribe if you want to. See you in the next one. Bye!